Focus at 4 today. The Bryan-College Station Chamber of Commerce held its 2016 Economic Outlook Conference today. One of the big topics there was real estate and how that's impacting just about everyone who lives here in Brazos County. Our guest today is Jim Gaines with the Real Estate Center at Texas A&M University. Mr. Gaines was one of the speakers there at the conference today.
Yes.
So what is the outlook? When we're talking about real estate right here at home, what do our viewers need to know and what can they expect?
Well, I think we can expect a pretty good year for 2016 coming up. 2015 turned into a record year. The year-end data are not completely in, but it already looks like we're going to have set a new record for home sales. Home prices are at all-time high. Activity is good. Home builders are building houses. So we're seeing the results of the last 3 or 4 years of economic prosperity, job growth, population growth coming to the area, and the real estate looks pretty good. The number one issue.
You always got that hesitation right there. So
I'm a two-handed economist.
So what's the issue?
The issue, of course, is the energy sector. We all know that for the past year, the price of oil has fallen more than 68%. It's fallen from about $107 a barrel. It went actually below $30 a barrel last week. It's at about 31, 32 today. And the drilling activity that goes along with that, the Eagle Ford Shale. And that comes up into Brazos County and up into our area. There's been drilling and exploration activity here for the past year that is now pretty much gone by the board. So the state is just beginning to feel that impact of the energy sector decline.
We're not really looking for any relief from that anytime soon. It's great when we go up to the gas pump and we see, oh wow, it's $1.50. But what you're talking about is the other effect behind
well,
that.
there's always good news and bad news.
Yeah, this is
for the state's economy, the bad news is that the price is down in drilling activity. That's an economic sector that is a driver of the state's economy and several local economies, Midland, Odessa, Houston, other areas that are really tied to the energy sector directly or indirectly. The whole state is going to feel those impacts. Now, the good news is, like you're saying, if you've put gas in your car here lately and bought a gallon of gas,
some money right
you've
there.
got some money, you've got more money to spend on other things. It's interesting, statistically, I can tell you, it's not being spent. It's being saved and doing other things. So,
hey, let me ask you this because this is your area of expertise, and we've got a graphic here. I thought this was one of the most fascinating things to come up in this conference today. Look at the population. We're talking about Bryan-College Station. Look down, and we're only talking, what, 30 or so years away.
Right.
In 2050, we could be reaching that 500,000 mark for the number of people who live here. So based on those numbers there, are we situated to where we're going to be able to handle that kind of a population boom?
well, we're going to experience the problems that any community does that grows rapidly.
I think of Austin when I think of
I mean,
fast you grow with
you
that.
can, and oftentimes the growth is faster than the systems to support it.
Right.
The infrastructure. One of the topics at this morning's conference was transportation and roads and the congestion. And you know, College Station, Bryan, has never really had congestion problems until the last few years.
Until like 6 o'clock, I go on Texas Avenue.
When the show is over, I'm not sure about getting home. But that's growing, and yes, we're going to nearly double. We're about 250,000 people today.
Right.
In 2015.
We're looking at an 88% increase, talking about
Almost
30 years
double.
from now. So in terms of real estate, you know, if I own a home or if I'm looking to buy a home, is this the right choice to make? Is it time to do it now? What are your thoughts?
Well, those are going to be individual decisions.
Okay.
I can tell you, for any individual. Buying a home has historically always been a good investment for a family for building wealth. And it still is. And so the general answer to your question is yes, it's a pretty good time. I would say if you know your tenure in there is going to be less than 5 years, you might consider or think carefully about your buy-rent decision. Anything more than 5 years, for sure, buying will probably come out ahead. And the renting right now, the rent levels are going up. Here in Austin, College Station,
I rent
everywhere around the state, the rent levels are getting to the point now, interest rates are still low for buying, that if you can get into an owner-occupied situation and get a mortgage payment that's fixed, then that would probably be a pretty good thing to do.
I could talk hours about this, but I've got about 30 seconds left. They're yelling at me. So wrap this up in one sentence. How are we sitting in Bryan-College Station as far as economic outlook goes for the next year?
Economic outlook next year, a little slower than last year, but overall, we're in pretty good shape. This market has never experienced the big ups, the big downs. We're in pretty good shape.
Looking good. Mr. Gaines, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Pleasure
Thank
talking to you, my friend. And we're going to be back right after this.
You're watching First News at